Hey everybody, this is your second 5.1 video on area and estimating with sums. Now, I guess this one shows you the exact same thing. At one time I did this exact problem and the numbers actually are identical to this one. Of course, that doesn't mean they always will be, it's just random. But what we're doing is we're going between -4 and 4. So what you do is you draw your boundaries -4 and 4, so you put 0 in the middle, and that's what splits it up into two rectangles. When we do 4 rectangles, we go from -4 to 4, draw the line for 0, and then you do half here and half there. And so then you go -4, -2, 0, 2, 4. So basically we need to draw our rectangles, and then we've got to do our delta x. So in this case the distance was 8 because it's 4 minus a -4, and divided by 2 for two rectangles, and then do our formula. So that's going to be what we end up writing for this one. So what we do is we go, based on this, we put -4, like on a number line sort of, to 4. So 0's in the middle. And so for two rectangles, we just stop it right there. So there's one and there's the other. And so that means our delta x is going to be 4 minus -4 over 2. So that's 8 over 2, which is 4. And so that means we do 4i, so to speak. And so this would be based on the midpoint. Since it's the midpoint, so use -2. And this midpoint, so use +2. So that's how it's going to be a little different than before. So we write our formula. You know, we're again saying, like on the other one, it's 4i, like xi is 4i basically. And so we're saying 4, and then we do our 16 minus x squared. So that's going to be 16 minus -2 squared. So that's for the first one, plus 16 minus +2 squared. So let's work out that. 4 times 16 minus parentheses -2 squared plus 16 minus +2 squared. So that does give us 96, which is what we want. Now for our next one, we have 4 rectangles. And so what we start with, and again, we're doing midpoint. Midpoint's the key word because you're using the midpoint rule. We go from -4 to 0, -4 to 4, but then we go 0, and then the middle of this is -2, and the middle of this is 2. So you're going to have all these rectangles. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 rectangles. And we need to use the midpoint, so that means -1, well, sorry, -3, -1, 1, and 3. Those are the midpoints of those rectangles. So we're no longer doing a lower or upper, we're doing a midpoint, which is more accurate. And so now from there, you have to do your formula. So the first thing is remember your delta x. That's going to be 4 minus -4, which is still 8. But this time we're dividing by 4 rectangles. So we have 8 fours gives you 2. And so that means xi would be 2i. So that means we do 2, and then we do our little formula, however long out it gets. So that means we're going to have 16 minus -3 squared plus 16 minus -1 squared plus 16 minus 1 squared plus 16 minus 3 squared. Okay, so that's basically what we want to do. So it's like the other one, and so since my setup is pretty good, I'm just going to go like this, and I'm going to change this to be a 2. And then this needs to be -3. And this one needs a parentheses and make it -1. So I have -3, -1. Now I need to keep going. Plus 16 parentheses, not parentheses, 16 minus parentheses, 1 squared, which is just 1, plus 16 minus 3 squared. Now, you notice that when we're not squaring a negative, it doesn't really matter if you use the parentheses or not, or where the parentheses is. It does matter for the front. It doesn't really matter for the back because they're positive. And so when I press enter, it gives me 90. What did I do wrong? (16 minus -3 squared plus 16). Oh, I have a minus there. Minus -1 squared, yeah. So that gives me 88, which is what I wanted. So that's how you do that. Because it's minus, it's not times, because our formula was 16 minus x squared. If you wanted me to be really fancy, well, I'm just going to say x. And then just continue 16 minus this x squared, and then 16 minus this x squared. Okay. So that gives us our 88. Okay, on our next one, let's see, what are we doing? We're given velocities along a track for 10 seconds. It goes 0 to 10. Estimate with left endpoint values. Okay, so what I remember about the left endpoint values is that means we're going to add up from here and then stop. So In other words, 0 plus 5 plus 11 plus 14 plus 24, 36, 26, 15, 8, and 3. And you stop. You don't do the last 0 if we're doing the left side. So 5 plus 11 plus 14 plus 24, 36, 26, 15, 8, and 3. I get 142. Now, when we do the right side values, you skip the original 0 and you go basically from here down. Now, what's really convenient about this problem, but it's not always, it's just on number 9 as an example, is since there's a 0 here for the first one, and since there's a 0 here for the back one, you're going to get the same answer. I'll still do the work, but 5 plus 11 plus 14 plus 24 plus 36 plus 26 plus 15 plus 8 plus 3. Now you're using the plus 0, just for emphasis. So this is the difference. This is the difference. Okay, so you do get the same answer. Now, here's how that's different. On this problem, you're going to do the same thing. I'll read through it in a minute. But on the left side, we stop right there. But on the right side, we're going to use this 36. And we're not going to use the other part. So it says, you and a companion are driving a twisty stretch of road in a car with a speedometer but no odometer. So you can see your speed, but not your mile markers. Well, mileage. I'm just going to call it mile marker. To find out how long the road is, you record the velocity at 10 seconds each. And so here you go. So on this first one, you basically are going to skip the last ordered pair. Which is 10, which is 120, 36. So you basically are doing the left side and all but 120 with 36. So first you want to figure out your sum. So that's going to be 0 plus 50. By the way, you don't really have to put 0 plus. 50, 21, 22, 17, 14, 38, 23, 39, 28, 40, and 10. And so I get 302. And then it was 10 intervals. So you're doing 10 times 302, and so you get 3020 feet. Now on the next one, we're doing the right, so it's right, but all but 0 with 0. And so basically, if I take my 302 I should be able to add 36. Because, you know, this is from the 120, 36. And then do 338 times 10 intervals. And so that gives us 3380 feet. So that's how you do that one. So again, those were similar when I did problems from the book, and I got 245 for both. And then on this one, it was a little more technical because they gave you feet, but they wanted the answer in miles. And so I had to do a little conversion, divide by 5280. But other than that, you know, that was how you did it. You basically add your numbers up. Okay, so now we're on another one where you're given a graph. And so the accompanying table gives the velocity of a vintage sports car accelerating from 0 to 136 in 36 seconds, 10 thousandths of an hour. Okay. Complete the parts. Okay, so here's your table with your velocity. Use the rectangles to estimate how far it traveled to reach that. Well, based on this being 0.002, the first one would stop at 001, and that'd be hours. And so there's your 001, and then you put H, which is this one. So what we're going to want to do on this problem is add all numbers and then times 0.001. So let's do that. So 39 plus 62 plus 78, 91, 102, 110, 118, 125, 131, and 136. Add all numbers and then times 0.001. So that gives us 0.992. This is a 9. Okay. And so that gives us this answer. Now, it says the car took approximately how long to reach the halfway point? Now, what we notice about this is 0.06 is around the middle. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so you want to use the data .006, comma 110. And so this is going to be 110. So that's the velocity next to 0.006. And And as far as how many seconds it was, that would always be 21.6. So how you get this is using 0.006 hours convert to seconds. And so you'll have 0.006 hours, and 1 hour has 60 minutes and 60 minutes. Also would need to be multiplied by 60 seconds in a minute. And so you're always going to get 3,600 seconds. And so basically you're just doing 0.006 times 3,600. And that's always 21.6. So that's how you get that one. Also pay attention to your units here. The 0.992 was miles. And the speed was miles per hour, which I would think is mph, but they have it in that form. So this first one was time, this one was distance, and this one was velocity. So that's what I have time for this video. We'll pick it up another time.